When it comes to professional wrestling, if you are talking about it, we are talking about it. Welcome to the Wrestle Chat Podcast with the Ant-Man.
Yes, indeed. What do you say? We talk about it. Welcome to Tuesday and welcome to the Wrestle Chat Podcast. We are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram. My name is the Ant-Man. If you are listening Wednesday morning, thank you so much for tuning in and checking out the podcast today. Joined by my buddy Michael Glavin, ready to talk some wrestling once again. NXT. Again, if you're watching live, NXT coming up here in less than 45 minutes, man. NXT has been. I mean, we said this for a while. It's always because it has the biggest turnover of any show. It's kind of the sleeper because you have those exciting moments, and then somebody takes off and they go to SmackDown or Raw, and then somebody from Raw or SmackDown comes back over. But man, it's probably the one with the most change that has also been the most consistent, at least production and storytelling wise. Some oftentimes has been forgot about over on Tuesday night on USA. I say forgot about. There hasn't been a lot of people that have messed with it. That was until Triple H had the heart thing, and then everybody got in and wanted to claim it as their own. But I'm excited about NXT coming up a little bit later on. Again, if you're watching right now, thank you so much. If you are listening, it's a day later, so ignore the references to Tuesday. We appreciate you listening on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you love to listen to podcast. And wherever you're taking this in right now, wherever it is, you do me a favor and just hit follow or subscribe. We appreciate that so much. Michael, we've got a lot to talk about. And funny, right before we went on, I saw another post that somebody else had posted about kind of our main topic tonight, and that is WWE going back to having Sunday, what were formerly known as pay-per-views, now PLEs, but moving it back from Saturday to Sunday. They are talking about changing the time. That might help a little bit. But have you gotten used to Saturdays being the day that we kind of set aside to watch WWE PLEs?
Oh, absolutely. Sundays are the day before Monday. And when wrestling is an evening event, yep. And for those of us that live, on the East Coast, where we live at the end of time, yep. When you have a WWE event, especially one of the big four that run, 4 hours, and it doesn't start till 8 o'clock. Woo! I'm dragging coming into to work Monday morning. So Saturday PLEs have been the to my life, and so good. And now he has nothing to do with it, but freaking Dana White. I'm just going to blame him just because I can.
You're shooting the messenger is what you're doing. That's what's happening right now. You know what is interesting? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
He's the guy. I'm going to blame him.
That's right. Yeah, I'm fine with blaming Dana. We don't see him on Mondays or Fridays or Tuesdays, at least yet. He could be moving over. I remember those Sundays. Now you live on the East Coast. This is the first time you've lived on East Coast time, right?
No,
okay, got it. So
previously lived in East Coast, celebrated when I went back to Central Standard Time,
yes.
And then begrudgingly fighting, clawing, and screaming the whole way, I went back to Eastern Time. It's just some crap about providing for my family and shoes and food and that crap. I don't know.
You're this job here paying $0 a month with benefits doesn't help your family.
Exactly. So maybe one of these days.
Yeah, maybe so. I remember on Sundays, man, it was a lot of fun because we would get together over at my buddy Michael Tate's house. And I say it was either his house or mine, and we kind of rotated, but we would share in the cost of the pay-per-view, which was, I think at that time, $39.99 or $39.95. It was less than $40, and we would split it. We would watch whatever the pay-per-view was on. I remember him being so proud of the TV that he just bought. He was a bachelor, both worked in radio. Neither one of us worked on Sunday, and he had some new TV. It was flat, but it wasn't like our TVs now. It wasn't like, flat all the way. Just the screen was flat. Yep. The rest of it was still deep. But man, it looked sharp. It was probably, I don't know, 26 inch. see that great from the couch. It was awesome. And my house, I had a 24-inch at one time, a plasma. That was fun to watch those on too. And man, it looked good. It was still a box, still a square. It wouldn't fill out the entire frame though. Yeah. But we'd go over there and it would just be a fun time on Sunday. But there were also only like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Yeah, two and a half, 2:45, something like that. If something really crazy was happening, it might go 3. But ordering pizza and having drinks and watch it, I think that is kind of long gone, especially with streaming and mainly the cost. I hope we don't. If we're going to go back to Sundays, we definitely can't go back to the cost of a pay-per-view. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. And to reminisce with you a little bit, I'm very thankful that I was able to catch the tail end of what it's like to buy pay-per-views.
Ooh,
I mean,
yeah.
Going all the way back. I mean, my generation has got to see such a, well, let me put it this way. I grew up poor. And so I went from the TV, to like no cell phones, no anything, and seeing this whole, breadth of things. And so I remember what it was like to get together with my buddies. And I remember paying $60. Maybe it was there at the end, for a pay-per-view. But what I will say is that it did create expectation and excitement, because you knew that because you're buying into the pay-per-view and you're buying the food and everybody's coming over, there was an excitement to it that I think left with, that. And we still get excited for PLEs. I'm not saying we don't, but there is that special feeling that when you buy into something like that, that there's that excitement. But man, I hope they don't start charging for it again. I do not consider myself a casual wrestling fan at all. I'm in pretty deep, but I got 4 kids, man. I got 4 kids and they're growing up. They're getting hungry.
I have kids.
And so I can't be shelling out for pay-per-views again, man. I might have to become a casual fan.
Man, even if you could, even if it was like, what, money doesn't matter, I'll pay. But how can you ask a customer to go from paying $5.99 a month to getting one basically every month to paying $60-$70 again? See, here's the deal. UFC, they've never gone to streaming. They've never gone to where you pay a monthly fee and you get whatever UFC 398 or whatever is next. They've never done that, so they can stay on a pay-per-view model. AEW, they've never streamed for a monthly fee any of their pay-per-views. Now they have talked about that, and there's been lots of rumors that they might. They have yet to do it. And once you do, you just can't go back to asking people to pay that much money for a pay-per-view if you want them to be invested each and every week. Now, we've gotten used to it being on Saturday. If they don't change the price, they're move it to Sunday. I mean, I'll complain about it because we've kind of adjusted our lives around things like that. But if you are a diehard combat sports fan, you're going to go Friday SmackDown to Friday after SmackDown, whatever the Slap League, Slap something. I've like that, yeah. And it just, I could not get into it. To Saturday's UFC prelims that start at like 2:00 in the afternoon with a pay-per-view that starts at 9 p.m. And then a WWE pay-per-view or PLE after that on Sunday. We kind of had a little taste of this on WrestleMania weekend, where we kind of got to that halfway point of WrestleMania night number 2 and went, okay, I cannot go back to the buffet.
Yeah.
Cannot. It's great. I love the food. I will eat it again, but I'm done for now.
Yep.
And then it was salads for the next couple of weeks because you had been so full of so much wrestling. Yep. I'm afraid that if you're into all of it, it's gonna really kind of just be too much. Do you have that same feeling, or you feel different, man?
I don't know. I'll speak to it as this. If I'm, a TKO corporate executive and I'm problem solving that very thing, to force it to make it work. I don't think you can have WWE running 3 and 4 hour pay-per-views. I think you have to scale it back to 2 hour pay-per-views. And we've already seen that a little bit with some of the, I think it was Backlash. As far as pay-per-views go, it was very short. and it was a small card. It was a great card. I'm not complaining
okay
about it
too.
at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. It was get in there, have fun, get out. Like, I'm cool with that.
I don't need 3 filler matches just to make it 3.5 hours.
Right. And so, I think the core of our discussion is it has to go one way or the other, in the sense of you start running shorter pay-per-views. It doesn't cost anything extra, et cetera, this, et cetera, that. I don't know when the Peacock deal is coming up, at least for WWE. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this. This is not an original idea. Somebody out there smarter than me has already said it. We're going to get a TKO streaming service. We're going to have to,
right? Yeah.
And so eventually when other deals expire, all that'll come together. But I think what's probably going to happen is we're going to see more subsidized content to fit it in on those weekends as they move to getting the WWE fans invested in UFC and the UFC fans invested in WWE, because they are not the same group of people. Is there overlap? Of course there is.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The mission of TKO is going to be to merge those audience bases, and they are going to make a ton of money when they do that. I mean, if it really is that convenient, and I would say the only reason I'm not watching UFC right now is because I don't want to do pay-per-view.
Yep.
And UFC is so unpredictable when it comes to, you could have a literally a 10-second bout because somebody gets knocked out. At least the reason I'm a wrestling fan is I'm guaranteed 2 hours of awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? UFC, you just don't know. But if it's all bundled together and I'm getting it for 10 or 20 bucks or whatever it is, I'll watch it because it's there. Why not?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of business that's going to happen with all this, but circling back, we need a bumper that's like Michael's rant, because he gets off on a tangent a lot. But yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope they don't make us pay more. I wish it would stay on Sundays. It's probably not going to, but it is what it is.
Hang on, let me talk to the voice guy. Michael's rant. There you go. You got it. Bumper anytime. Just say, need a bumper, Ant. I got it for you. I'll take care of you. Okay. Yeah. When we come back, actually, first, let me say this. We want to know your thoughts on this. So you can chime in here if you're watching this live. Chime in and let us know what you think about the possibility of premium live events for WWE moving to Sunday, which it sounds like a decision might have already been made. Not for sure yet, but it kind of feels that way with a little leak of an announcement or whatever that was from Dana White. But if it hasn't happened yet, so what are your thoughts on this? Would you be okay with it moving back, as long as there's not a premium charge on it? Chime in and let us know if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast network. Drop us a line on our Instagram. It's at WrestleChat Podcast. When we come back, we got to talk about the Bloodline. We've also got to talk about actually a really good match from last week's NXT. I'll tell you more about that when we get back here on the Wrestle Chat Podcast.
Damian Priest now has the world title. Cody finished the story to take home the undisputed title. So the question is, which one are you taking home? We're giving you your pick. Just make sure you've subscribed to the Wrestle Chat Podcast on YouTube. That's it. Once we hit 10,000 subscribers, we'll draw one winner who will take their pick and take home their own WWE replica title. If you've already subbed, be sure to tell a friend. The quicker we get to 10K, the quicker we draw a winner. Take home the gold with the Wrestle Chat Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe today.
If you're watching this right now on YouTube, easy to do. Just reach over there and hit follow, and you'll be in the running for that title, the one that you pick, either a world title or the WWE title that Cody is carrying around right now. Once we hit 10,000, we'll draw a winner from everybody who's subbed, and you get to pick. We'll send it right to your house. So let's talk about Solo Sikoa. He kind of... I like the whole presentation, except the driving gloves. Who said, hey, you know what? Hang on, stay right there. I'll be right back. And comes back with a pair of driving gloves and hands them to Solo Sikoa and says, put those on. You will look so awesome.
We somehow slipped into this weird, like, Miami Vice vibe. Like,
so odd. Like,
and I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but I'm just caught off guard by it.
Yeah, I think it's too much all at once. I get the suit. Okay, you want to put a suit on him because he's the new leader? Do one thing at a time. not everything at once. Let's say, I don't know. But he confronts, obviously, the wise man and says, I have been asked to lead this group while Roman is away. Is that true? Is it really true? Or is he just taking over in his absence? What do you think?
I don't think it's true. And I'm going back to what Paul Heyman said a couple months ago, year ago. Somebody asked him, hey, where are we at with the Bloodline story? And he's like, third inning. And everybody was like, no way. There's no, Roman Cody, that's the story. The tag titles were the story.
Got to be close to the end. Yeah.
To quote my one of my work friends, Chris Burkhart, oh, nay. I think we were. Shout out Chris Burkhart. Oh, nay.
Yeah.
We were very much in the third inning. I think that we are sowing seeds of not just one internal Bloodline feud, but multiple factions of the Bloodline feuding. We can see the chess pieces moving into place, that you have the OG Bloodline. You've got the new youngster that is full of not really youngsters Bloodline. The Tongas, they've been around for a while. They've done things, but in the WWE eyes, they're the youngsters, We're seeing these pieces put in place where there's going to be family feuding against family, not just Jay and Jimmy, but whole sections of the vast family tree that is this family. So no, Solo is not supposed to be running the Bloodline right now. There was no conversation, and it's going to be real fun when the tribal chief shows back up to have kind of a what the heck's going on type moment. It's going to be cool.
Also, I'd like to know where Jimmy's been. Jimmy was taken out. Is he hurt? I heard that
he
was hurt.
He is legitimately injured. He was written off TV from whatever attack he suffered. So
yeah. Man, I'll tell you, I love the layers. Because and I've said this before, is that I really wasn't in on the beginning of the Bloodline. I was like, okay, it's just I wasn't a giant fan of Roman when he came back, because it was a different person. It was than what we were used to. At least the presentation felt different. And then what he was doing to Jay, I thought, I don't know, I'm not really into this. And man, it built quickly. And I was a latecomer to being a fan of the Bloodline. And it's good to know that with this going on as long as it is, and it seems to have so many more layers to it, that maybe I wasn't as late as I thought I was. Maybe I was still in the pregame, evidently. Yep. We're going to use baseball as an analogy with the wise man, Paul Heyman. But I'm so excited to see, because this is not episodes. This is not even seasons. This is years of a story now. Multiple years of a story. So excited to see this continue and see where it goes. And ultimately, who is in charge? Is it the final boss who's away making movies right now and doing some jujitsu or something else? I've been seeing some of The Rock's training. And he looks great at whatever he's doing, whether it's putting on Papatui face cream or doing some jujitsu on Instagram. What was that?
Hair gel. Hair product, shampoo, whatever he's got.
He does. With a guy that's bald can sell hair shampoo. Yeah, I mean that's a good salesman. This week on Raw, we also saw just last night the first acknowledgement of the QR codes that the rest of us have been seeing, the glitches that have been happening. I think at this point we can really say, obviously, the whatever family or whatever faction that is coming out of Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt's memory. We are, and it's becoming very intriguing. In fact, the QR code from Monday led to basically a Dropbox with a bunch of photos in it. It was almost like a crime scene that you could look through, and so one was an old kids. The save icon. That was actually a real physical thing called a floppy disk. We saw one of those laying on a table with a note, and it had 5/16/24 written on it. That's Thursday. We don't have anything going on Thursday in WWE. What's going on there? So that's coming up. I did see somewhere else that it was there was a clue that could possibly be at King and Queen of the Ring over in Saudi Arabia. That's coming up Memorial Day weekend. So looking to see when that kind of comes to fruition and comes to this side of the camera and starts happening in the ring or starts happening in the arena. We've seen some rumors too about who could possibly be in this group. Is Alexa Bliss one of them? Did you see that?
Her name's being tossed around, but she's the most nothing's confirmed, but she's the most unconfirmed out of all the names that have been tossed around.
Copy. She may be part of what had happened and not part of what will happen. Because I kind of thought Braun Strowman would be a part of that group too. Well, he came back and he doesn't look anything like he did when he was in the Wyatt family. So it could be a whole new faction just with the same characteristics, but a whole new group. Excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. With some of the videos that they've shown and some of the verbiage they've used, I'm starting to get this vibe that they're going to possibly treat the Fiend character like a higher entity that is fueling whatever this group is going to do. And because some of the verbiage, if you pay attention, there's still present tense to the things that they're saying. And so I think what's cool about this is there's no playbook. We had seen a lot from Bray Wyatt that in some ways we knew what to expect because it was one guy, but branching out, graduating the Fiend character, the Bray Wyatt character to this, higher power, if you will, which is a guess from me. That's not confirmed, but then mobilizing what we believe is the Wyatt Six. It's cool because it's completely uncharted territory. And we're not resting on the solo venture of Bray Wyatt to make all this happen. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it's very cool what the possibilities are, and bringing another faction in. Thank God factions are back, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's so good to have like another faction that's going to be in place.
Well done factions, I will say.
Well done factions.
Yeah.
But I won't keep going on about it. But just like you, I'm so excited for it. But I love the build. I love that it's been slow. I love that I have time to want it. So yeah, I'm just super stoked.
Last week here on the podcast, we talked about, what could we, as the American wrestling fan, learn from the French? Evidently, WWE's production has learned something from the French. We'll talk about that. Plus, if you were wondering where Raw would be after their deal with USA is done before they head to Netflix, we have an answer on that as well. We'll talk about it all when we come back here on the Wrestle Chat podcast. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Do you ever just want to sit back and talk movies, TV, and sports with your friends? Well, I've got something special for you. Check out the Man-Child Chronicles podcast, where four friends hang out and talk everything entertainment and sports. Come and join Ryan, John, Mike, and Jay for a new episode, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. The Man-Child Chronicles. Growing up never took so long.
If you're already subscribed, one of the videos you should check out that's on our YouTube is an interview with Roxanne Perez while we were at WrestleMania this year in Philadelphia. A conversation that we had that is not on our YouTube was one with Chelsea Green, and that just happened in the hallway of the hotel that we were in. It was funny. It was about the time she got kicked out, which was just recently kicked out of I think it was a Fairfield. I don't want to misspeak and call out some hotel, but I think it was a Fairfield.
I think it
got kicked out because they thought she was a woman of the night. Is that PC enough and
I think that's about as good as you.
Okay.
I think that's about as good as you could say it.
A woman of the night. But speaking of those two ladies, if you haven't watched Chelsea Green and Roxanne Perez from last week's NXT, that is a must-watch match. It was so good. Both ladies are so incredible. And I love when we see instances of those stars that are up doing their thing on Mondays and Fridays. Take time to stay at home where a lot of them live anyway, and stay in Orlando for a week and go there and hang out with, he gets to wrestle the NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez, in a great match. If you haven't watched that yet, check that out after you're done here and before you watch NXT tonight, which is only a little more than 15 minutes away. All right. That's when you need to watch this week. Raw will have a home. It was not going to be off the air, and we knew that wasn't going to happen. We just didn't know where they were going to go. When the deal with USA ends and the Netflix deal begins, it's just going to stay on USA. So that's pretty cool. That's easy. Yeah. Probably worked out a good deal, I would imagine. So for a little while, we're going to have both Raw and SmackDown on the same channel on USA. It's good. I kind of wondered what they would do, and I wondered why it was going to take so long or take those 3 months in order to get on Netflix. Isn't it just a cable you plug in? And
you think it would be that simple, but it's probably more of a clean rights deal and all that type of thing. But with SmackDown being on USA, it was a good guess that USA was going to extend for a short period of time, but they still got $25 million for that just to keep doing what they're doing. It's crazy, man. Jeez, absolutely crazy.
We talked last week after Backlash. I mean, I still go back and watch, particularly the video. There's two of them, but particularly the video of the crowd singing to AJ Styles. That still just gets me every time I watch it. And if you haven't seen it yet, maybe you're just now catching up on some stuff that has happened. You got to see the France crowd singing to AJ Styles, the heel, and he can't react how he really wants to. Probably wants to tear up a little bit. Probably wants to say thank you to the crowd. Does on X later, but in the moment, wow, the crowd responded singing. He is phenomenal. But how they would at a football game. Their football game, not our American football game. Something that was taken away from production, WWE production from that event had to do with Jey Uso. Something that hadn't happened, at least over here in America, is when he comes to the ring, everybody does his dance, which you see Pat McAfee do it.
I believe it's called yeeting.
I still have a hard time with that.
I believe these youngsters call it yeeting.
See, and I can tell. And listen, if you're younger than me, that's complete. And you're watching, thank you. If you're older than me, you get it. There's just kind of a period of time where like, I don't know if I can say this stuff. Mm-hmm. Not because it's offensive. It's because you're too old.
Yep.
You're too old to say things like they were yeeting.
They were eating? What were they eating?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
When I hear, see, that's the thing. When I hear someone say yeet, I'm thinking he's asking if I've eaten yet. That's not it at all. The dance. They bring out the fireflies, the ones that we're used to with Bray Wyatt. We get everybody's phone. This doing the dance. And now WWE production wants to make it an all-time thing. Every time that Jey comes out, how can we get the crowd to turn on their lights and yeet with Jey? Do you think the production meeting went about as well as this conversation right now?
Probably. I mean, they've got a different crew now. I kind of
they're probably younger.
I don't know. It was kind of going on when Kevin Dunn was there, I think, but I just kind of envisioned Kevin Dunn saying yeet.
Mm-hmm. Go over about as well as me saying it?
Yeah, probably about the same. Yeah.
Got it. I'm looking forward to yeeting with Jey.
You've got a dinner date with Jey Uso?
Yep. I'm yeeting with Jey. I can't wait. The whole crowd's yeeting with Jey. Awesome.
Table for 9,000, please.
If we can get one of those. Table for 9,000. You get it at the next WWE show that Jey Uso is at. Looking forward to that. But I'm excited that they are taking some things away from Backlash to incorporate, because I mean, I don't think it takes away from this of it being special it happening in France the way that it did, so organically. Take some good parts of that and see if you can incorporate them each and every week. You can't always ask the crowd to be as lively as they were, but everybody there has a phone. You can turn on the light and you can eat with Jay. It'd be a lot of fun. Anything else we need to hit before we go watch NXT, Michael?
I don't think so. Let's get over to NXT. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Love the King of the Ring stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Definitely keeping us vested and interested after WrestleMania season. Great stuff going on. It's a great week in and week out.
And so great, great way to stay invested in what's going on. That's how you do it without a story between the two. That's also a great way to start news stories as well. So excited about that and looking forward to that coming up 1 week from Saturday. If you're not following us yet, wherever you're consuming this, taking this in, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or on Instagram, thank you for doing that. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit follow. If you're listening right now, the free iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, wherever you love to listen to podcasts, we'd love if you hit follow there as well and stay connected with us anytime we have some fun stuff coming up here on the Wrestle Chat podcast. It is called Chat for a reason, because we want to hear from you. Chime in on anything that we've talked about here tonight or something that we have missed, and let us know what you think about it all, and we'll share it here on the show as well. For Michael Glavin, I'm the Ant-Man. We'll see you next week here on the Wrestle Chat podcast.